Anyway, folks, welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. Welcome aboard. We have a great show for you today, as usual. Anyway, folks, welcome aboard, everybody. I am still setting things up here, so bear with me as we get all the screws, the whistles, the bells, and all that kind of stuff going. You know how that goes every now and then. You just can't get it all done to be ready with a new program at 3 o'clock. Remember, it's me alone. No tengo asistencia. Así que estoy tratando de hacerlo lo mejor que puedo ahorita mismo. Pero, preferiblemente, vamos a tener ayuda when we get more subscribers. Tendré ayuda. I'll have more help when we get more subscribers. But for now, it's on one person, and I'm almost done putting the last thing out. I'm almost done. Bear with me. Need to get it up onto El Daily Coast, and I think we will be there as like right now. All right, how's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing just fine. I am pretty sure you are. We have a great show for you today. Welcome aboard, AV Cube, watching from Twitch, and he is in Brooklyn, New York. Welcome aboard, Paul Fleming. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. We have in the house as well May Wood from Long Beach, California. Joe says, good afternoon. Joe, I looked for your email. I couldn't find it. Look, I get over 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 emails, depending on the day, depending on what I talk about, depending on what's in the ether, sometimes even more. And a lot of that is after going through my filter. So a lot of times I miss stuff. So if you send me something you absolutely want me to read, put a big upper caps, attention. And if you don't hear from me, send it again. I'm sorry, but I'm overwhelmed. Let's see. Paul Fleming in from Powder. I think I got Paul already, right? Powder Springs, Georgia. We also have Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas in the house with us. Am I missing anybody on our first chat? I don't think so. If I do, I'll come back, or you can give me a shout out. I like to hear where you guys are from. Remember, I lose the first few on Substack, but Sandy Johnson is in, Femke is in, Carol P is also in. Got a great show, but let's start on something funny. Remember how Donald Trump, again, we're going to get into some serious stuff in a minute, but every now and then you want to have a little funny, right? So let's do a little funny. By the way, Paul Fleming says, I got my like button back. What was wrong with your like button? I didn't know they used to take like buttons away. Beth Andrews says, hello. From Ohio, one of the states that also will be attempting to, or they've been asked to, do some redistricting as well. We're going to talk about some redistricting as well. Anyhow, I'm going to get serious, but, we want to do a little bit of funny every now and then. So we'll do a little bit of funny every now and then. So here is the joke. Remember Donald Trump, how he would make fun of the disabled? Oh, you remember when he did that of the reporter? Oh, no, and he did that. But, and you don't see Fox News and all these guys go crazy over it, right? We think it's wrong. I think it's wrong. But you don't see Fox News and those guys going berserk over that kind of stuff. But guess what? Guess who's going berserk now? I want to see this little clip that has Fox News in a tweet from Governor Newsom. Check this out.
Congressman Greg Abbott, who is in a wheelchair, and Newsom says he rolled over for Trump. That's almost as bad as Jasmine Crockett calling him Governor Hot Wheels. We asked for a statement, and Newsom's office said something flippant like, oh, you're so woke. He'll get over it. Abbott will get over it.
So it's a big deal. Gavin Newsom used a very normal statement. They are rolling over for Trump. That's not a statement that, I think it's kind of symbiotic, right? Because again, our governor rolls around in a chair. And so you have to wonder if Fox News are the ones with the hang up when they say, when Gavin Newsom said that the Governor Abbott rolled over for Donald Trump, whether he was trying to make fun of Abbott. I don't think so. But, even if he were, right? The reality is, I think they've earned being made fun of. Let's get serious now about Abbott. Let's not forget how Abbott got in that wheelchair. A tree fell on Abbott, and that's a bad thing. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. but he got hurt, and he got hurt bad. He was left in a wheelchair, but he got an opportunity to sue. He is still making stipends from that has occurred decades ago, and he's making a lot of money off of that injury. He sued. Now that he's governor, nobody, and you guys can look this up, nobody can actually sue the way this governor did, okay? They can't sue the way this governor did to get compensated for their injury. You know, they call it what some kind of reform they had, right? Tort reform. So the tort reform in Texas make it very difficult for people to go after corporations who have injured them under the auspices of Abbott. So he got his, but for the rest of people, nah, sorry, no. So that is ridiculous. But here's another funny for you. And like I said, we are going to get serious, but we do a little bit of funny today. And not only a little bit of funny, we turn the funnies into some serious as well, as I did with that funny with the disability and what this evil governor did as far as not allowing others to have the same opportunity to go ahead and sue like he did to be compensated for his injuries. Again, Lee Grant, read the paper that I wrote. Look it up. Abbott suit. I wrote about this already. So yeah, people sue all the time, but they don't get the type of benefit that Abbott got. Another one for you. Let's check this one out. You know that Donald Trump uses his personal Twitter thing, if that's what you want to call it. Donald Trump uses his personal Twitter thing to Truth Central or Truth Social to go ahead and talk about other people, to make fun of other people, to say silly things that are nonsensical, grammatically incorrect, all caps, rude, vulgar, all of that. So Governor Newsom decided to parody him and started doing that on his account. And I want you guys to listen to Fox News's response to what Newsom is doing. And then we'll take it on the other side. But just listen, and then we'll take it en el otro lado, on the other side.
For the last week, Gavin Newsom, why am I giving him advice? You have to stop it with the Twitter thing. I don't know where his wife is. If I were his wife, I would say, "What? You are making a fool of yourself. Stop it. Do not let your staff tweet. And if you're doing it yourself, put the phone away and start over. And if you want, he's got a big job as governor of California, but if he wants an even bigger job, he has to be a little bit more serious."
I think he's trying to be funny. I don't know what he's trying to do, but it comes across as childish. And you're the governor of the biggest state in the union. What are you doing?
For the last week, Gavin Newsom, why am I giving him advice? You have to stop it with the Twitter thing. I don't know where his wife is. If I were his wife, I would say, "You are making a fool of yourself. Stop it.
Are making a fool of yourself. Stop it, Gavin Newsom. How dare you? How dare you do what Donald Trump is doing? That is childish. That is childish to use your Twitter feed to speak like that. That is childish to use your Twitter. After all, you are the governor of the biggest state. Last I knew, the president was more powerful than a governor. Last I knew, the president was also more had a bigger responsibilities because he has the responsibility of the entire country than a governor. So one must ask Fox News, did you tell Donald Trump the same thing? Did you tell Donald Trump that it is childish to write on Truth Social as he is doing constantly? Did you tell Donald Trump that he has more important things to do? No, I don't think you did. So then how can we take Fox News serious? And that most of you here do, because most of you here that are progressive, most of you here that do critical thinking, you know it's just crap, right? Michael says, do they not understand that Newsom is parodying and trolling Trump? They are. So yeah, they do. But I tell you what, I think that may be a mercy call out to let Donald Trump see how it looks by attacking Mr. Newsom, Governor Newsom, with the expectation that when Governor Newsom doing the same thing that Trump is doing is called childish by Trump, that maybe Trump will stop being so childish, immature, dumb, evil, etc. on his own chat. Maybe that's what they're hoping for. Quién sabe, quizás eso es lo que está pasando. Maybe that's what's happening. We'll see. We'll see. Beth Andrews says you're giving Trump too much credit for figuring that out. I guess I just said that. It's not like necessarily I thought it would change anything, right? So no, I'm not my beautiful Beth. I know it's junk. Okay. All right. What else have we got here? The scammer is back. Yep. You can delete the scammer message. Beth Andrews says wishful thinking. Okay. What else have we got here before I move to the most important video for today? In sunny apartment buildings and homes okay, let me see. That is from E2247. Patrick says most people have the common sense to not jog under a tree that is being cut. True. But hey, we make mistakes, Patrick, so I'm not going to hit the man up too hard. Welcome aboard, Yvette Avery here. I'd love to have you here, our beautiful Yvette from Atlanta, Georgia. E2247 says today, while world was distracted by 47s, the frauds, theatrics, Russia unleashed yet another brutal assault on Ukraine. 98 sachet drones and decoys launched across Russia and occupied Crimea. I got a surprise for all of you. I am going to be bringing directly from Kiev in Ukraine a correspondent. We're going to do more than likely we'll either do a YouTube live, but I think it's going to be a Substack live. We're probably going to do a Substack live directly from Ukraine where we're going to discuss the issues, and we are going to take phone calls for you to ask this correspondent what's actually happening in Ukraine. So bear with me. I'm probably going to contact him a little bit later tonight, and we'll discuss exactly what dates. Either going to be tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow's Thursday. Tomorrow or maybe Friday. So we are going to. And by the way, Beth, the idea is you will be a part of this interview, all of you, if you have questions about what's really happening in Ukraine, because we get partial stories, etc. So he'll be able to tell you what is actually happening in Ukraine. So you'll get that. All right. Let's see what else that we have here. Who else do I need? Lee Grant, welcome aboard, my brother. And I'm going to move to the video in a minute. Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome, beautiful. How you doing? Michael Egberto. Ask them if they have some drone footage of the damage that Russia has inflicted upon Ukraine. I tell you what, I'll make sure that we get photos because he has everything. I'll make sure that we have photos, etc., from him because they've actually asked him to write for some of the largest English-speaking Ukraine paper. Again, that is my brother from Pacifica Network, actually from KPFT, and he lives over there right now. All right, Patrick says, I've noticed that conservatives are extremely insensitive to others' beliefs, but become super triggered snowflakes when they experience the same type of behavior towards themselves. That is true, but they don't see the dichotomy. Michael says, if we see the damage, it can't be unseen. I think I love what you just said there. Now, here's the issue. If I also play it on YouTube, YouTube is going to try to censor that, but it won't be censored on Substack. I think I'm going to do it on Substack because what'll happen on YouTube if he says certain things, I'm going to do it on Substack. So if you're not, and I think I'm going to have it open to everybody. It won't be just for paid subscribers. This is important. This is something that I think we need to have open to everybody. But by the same token, that doesn't mean please become a paid subscriber. Help us do all this work that we're doing. All right. Let's see. Twitch won't censor. Yeah, but we don't have a big following on Twitch. Michael, so we can't quite do it there. All right, let's talk redistricting. I got two important videos. One in Oklahoma and Prager University, and the other one on I interviewed the executive director of ranked choice voting. Let me give you the backstory. It's funny because I interview as many people as I can get I think this time I only got in about 32, 33 interviews or so. I lost about 5 of them because I had a corrupted disc. Okay, so 37 interviews I did, but it's hard work walking around, talking to folks, bringing them back, having people come in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, but the conference is over. I'm at the airport and I'm wearing my Netroots Nation t-shirt. And this young lady looked and said, "Oh, you were at the conference." And she was excited, right? You went to the conference. Great. I came here with my girlfriend. And hey, Bruce, I have something for you. I'll try to get it to there in the next couple of days. So I am here, right? And she's excited. She's a girlfriend of the executive director of it's called Ranked Choice Voting Maryland. So I asked her after I said, "Yeah, I was there. I was doing all the interviews, etc." And then she said, "Oh, you're the one that Amy Goodman called out about doing." So yeah, that's what we're doing, etc., etc., etc. And then, I think the one who called out Amy Goodman was the other lady who mentioned that. But anyway, that's beside the point. So I looked at the executive director and I said, "Wait a minute, what were you discussing?" She said, "Well, I was on a panel and we were discussing redistricting." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" So we are in the line to go through the aduana, to go through the checkpoint to get into the airport. So I said, "I tell you what, if you get over to the other side before I do, can you wait for me? I want to talk to you. I want to interview you on this, okay?" And she said, "Okay." And of all the times that I get stopped checking in, it's that day. So she and her girlfriend are waiting for me. And they're trying to pass my shoes through because, you don't have to take your shoes off anymore. But something rang my shoes and something rang me up. So I had to do the whole scan down and the shoes took forever to come and they waited. So we then went to the coffee shop and did the interview. And I tell you, it was one of the most substantive interviews that I did as well. Well, all the interviews are substantive, but I really like her impartiality. And I think you guys will too. So check this out. And then we'll take it on the other side.
Hello, ma'am. What's your name?
My name is Michelle Whittaker.
Michelle, you are here at Netroots Nation 2025. First of all, what's your thought about how the conference went?
Well, it's an amazing location to be here in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And I thought it went really well organized, lots of different opportunities. And I ran into a number of friends that I've connected with over the years.
Now, I understand you were a panelist. What did you discuss on your panel?
My panel was talking about the case for proportional representation.
What exactly does that mean?
So proportional representation is about how do we make sure there's fair representation for all people, whether you're talking about a state legislature, Congress, or city councils. And so it's looking at what we need to do to make sure that there's parity, gender parity, that racial and ethnic representation exists in our bodies, and that we look at the other dynamics that help to make sure that everybody has a voice, whether you're talking about renters having a seat at the table, people from different incomes, all of that can happen through structural changes in our election system. So we're looking at how electoral reform helps gain fair representation.
In effect, you're saying that in a real democracy should apply to absolutely everybody.
Correct, yes.
Now, right now, I'm from Texas, and in Texas, we're going through the issue of gerrymandering to get more Republican. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so gerrymandering is an issue across the United States, and I'm in Maryland, and in Maryland, we're dealing with the same issue from a different perspective, where there's active efforts for the most part, Republicans have been blocked out of having any full representation, both at the congressional level for decades, and when we're talking about seats in our state legislature, it's really carved out for different areas and really leaves, a significant portion of the community, whether they're left or right, out of the conversation and representation.
You brought up a new issue. Many would want us to believe, and in fact, I probably didn't do as much research as I should, that this gerrymandering thing was mostly done in a disrespectful way, if you will, on the Republican side. I think what you've just insinuated is that, wait a minute, this type of gross gerrymandering was actually done on the other side as well, and it's probably still in effect.
It's being done on both sides, and what you see happening is in blue states that are controlled by Democrats, they're gerrymandering to make sure that they maintain control or gain more seats, and you see the same thing happening in Republican districts or Republican legislatures where they're carving out more of their seats or creating a disadvantage for Democrats to run in those areas. And the real issue is not just just about the left, like Democrats and Republican side of it, but all the voters in between. We are not just two parties. And this is based on a two-party system kind of structure. We have multiple parties. We have people who are independent. Independents are the largest growing
group
voters. So when you do this carving out of left and right, you're not accounting for those voters, and they won't get a say in many of the key pieces like your primary elections if those aren't open for people to have a voice on like who's being nominated for the general election, where everyone does have an option there.
Well, please school me here, because I want this on the two-party system. Does any party is any party moral here, if you will? In other words, is the Republican form of gerrymandering any worse in what they're doing in Texas and likely Ohio and Missouri than what Democrats have done? Because I want to make sure as I'm reporting that I'm doing it accurately.
Yeah, I will say, and I'm someone who I will lean progressive. I am a officer within the Democratic Party in Maryland. I feel strongly that there is behavior on the right to do more harm in terms of how we do gerrymandering. However, I don't think we can hold Democrats blameless in this, and the fact that when Democrats also raise the bar and say, okay, if you're gerrymandering there, we're going to gerrymander here, we just escalate things and continue to create that divide. So we are equally have a negative impact when what we're doing in gerrymandering. Do I believe that Republicans have done a lot to suppress voters of certain communities? I believe so. And I think we need to address that. And that's what's been, in the courts, we've tried to do that. But especially with the VRA being gutted, Section 2 of the VRA, we're going to see that it's much harder communities in places that have had traditional racial discrimination. We're going to see it on a different level that's not called racial discrimination and gerrymandering, but has the same
because of the techniques the parameters that they use is generally associated with one particular group or another.
And that's why we really need to take the process of drawing lines out of the hands of political parties. It should not be what they're doing. It shouldn't be like politicians doing that. You've heard that phrase. It should be the people who are really leading that and have the strongest voice. And that's what we talk about with proportional representation and other electoral systems that really help to give the people the strongest power in making the decisions and electing people, whether you're talking about a primary race or...
With respect to Pritzker and the other Democrats that are willing to try to change if these times are existential, if right now we have a Republican Congress that cedes all the power to executive, is this an evil that must be done to mitigate worse evil?
That's a good question. I think there's obviously a way that you need to make sure that you're balancing, to make sure that you have drawn the lines, to make sure that you lead the agenda that you want. I don't think it does Democrats any better to do it even a way if you're saying in the short term it's to help protect on this, because I still feel like it creates an issue a longer term.
So let me ask you directly, if Texas gerrymanders and gets 5 more votes, should Pritzker and the governor of, let's say, California and New York sit back?
I'm going to say
and that's a direct question.
I think it's up to them. I'm not going to say whether or not they should or should not do it. What I think is the larger question that we need to ask is like, what do we actually want to see out of our democracy, and how do we get to that point? I think, in the short term, there may be some things that people feel like are necessary to do.
I know.
I'm not going to say.
I want to push you a little bit. I want to push you a little bit, because one of the things that progressives are accused of is having the high moral thing, and because of the high moral behavior, we have a tendency to get eaten alive because the other side isn't going to play that. Do progressives sometimes need to go out of their own morality?
I'm not sure if I would say go out of your own morality. I think what you need to be willing, if the question is, do you just need to play nice and hopefully they'll play nice with you? The answer is no. Like, that's not going to be, it's not going to be a successful solution, and people are going to walk over you, right? I will say that the decisions need to be made in a way that you can stand up for what you want to do further along down the road. And what makes it harder is sometimes if you're doing things that are contradicting what you're saying. So however that can be, I'm open to like challenging that. And I do think that there's a need to defend democracy. So I'm not saying like you shouldn't do things that help to like defend democracy and make sure that we have a seat at the table and that our voices aren't muted. I think there's also that larger conversation about where do we want to see democracy go further, and are we taking steps to get to that point, along with whatever we might need to do? Like, it's the whole question of when you're injured, you might be bleeding right now, and the immediate thing you have to do to stop the bleeding and control that.
Got you.
That's it. You have to do that. But in the long term, it's like, okay, well, actually, you have this other health condition that's going to take longer, and we need to start doing the preventative care now so we don't have this issue. So it's those two things.
Now, what's the company that you are, the organization you represent?
I was here with Represent Women. I'm the board chair for Represent Women, who's based in Maryland, but works nationally on gender parity. And I'm also the executive director for Ranked Choice Voting Maryland, where we're working directly to move forward reforms like ranked choice voting, proportional representation at the state level.
And how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can go to find representative women, go to women.org, and to find Ranked Choice Voting Maryland, go to rcvmd.org.
Thank you so kindly for a great interview.
You're welcome.
All of our country's problems, from polarization to ignorance on domestic and international issues to a complete misunderstanding of our economic and healthcare systems, are a direct result of a derelict mainstream media that too often bend over backwards to support corporate or bought politicians' wants as opposed to the people's needs for real information to make their lives better. Independent media is the only solution to inform truthfully and factually. Why? Because our loyalties are to you, the ones who fund us with small dollar contributions and subscriptions. Please consider supporting our independent media platforms by subscribing to our Egberto Off the Record newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's an investment that pays incalculable dividends.
Absolutely. So anyway, folks, I felt a little bit guilty after the interview because her girlfriend was trying to get her attention, because while we were at about 2 minutes to the end of the interview, their plane was boarding. They waited for me to get through the check stuff, and their plane was boarding, and she was trying to get her attention. And then later on, she said, "Honey, our plane is boarding," and they had to head out of Dodge. So anyway, but again, if you notice, she didn't want to really come out and say, well, for the short term, we have to do what we have to do. And in effect, I think that's what Rodnan is saying when he says, so if Texas Republicans are going to further gerrymander their state, then California, New York, and Illinois should follow suit. It should be made clear that California, New York, and Illinois don't have anywhere near the same level of gerrymandering than Texas and other red states does. That whole idea of they go low, we go high is no way to do politics against those who have no low. They won't cross in order to win. They need to be punished for going low. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I will continue to try to engage all sides. But I do believe that after we have recovered from the evil that has been done over the Donald Trump's administration, I do think that those that were complicit in the evil they have to be punished somehow. They have to be punished. What we have put this country through, the ill, and I am sorry to just come out and say this, but many people are dying because of these policies. Many people are dying because of these policies, and we have to actually get it done. So they must be punished, all of them. All of them must be punished. Anyway, I got another video to show, and then well, before I get to that video, let me go ahead and see what I have to read. Beth Andrews says Newsom is asking his voters for permission to gerrymander. That is not what Texas is doing, right? And Texas is not doing that because they'll lose the vote. Marge KJ says, Alexander, what is Alexander, Marge? Wonderful. Can't wait to hear that interview. Yep. All right. What else have we got here to read? If I miss what I need to read from you, forgive me. But welcome aboard, Laura Camrath and Anto Dinetto. Welcome aboard, Barb DeYoung and Mary Adamski. Welcome to Politics Done Right. Heidi O'Donnell, welcome as well. In our chat, let's see what else we have to read here. Time to getting ready to go. Okay, Michael, where are you heading to early? Egberto, I'm going to repeat my intro comment tomorrow. Hope you won't skip it. What did you write in your intro? I don't know what your intro is, but yeah, put it again tomorrow. All right, let's see what else we got. What else we got? All right, let's go ahead and play the second video. I think it's an important video. It's a sad video, but it's something that we have to realize is actually going on in the country. There we go. I've got a must-watch segment coming out here, something that I just saw on MSNBC that blows my mind. You know, in Oklahoma, the assault on public education has taken a new and disturbing turn. The state now demands that incoming teachers pass a PragerU-inspired ideological test designed not to measure professional competence, but to filter out so-called, what's that magic word? Wokeness. So this is not about strengthening classroom or uplifting children. It's about enforcing a political conformity and punishing educators who believe in what? Inclusion, equity, and historical accuracy. By outsourcing the standards to a right-wing propaganda machine, Oklahoma reduces teaching to indoctrination, transforming schools into battlegrounds in the culture war rather than placing or having a place of learning. At its core, the move exposes the degeneracy of a system more interested in manufacturing obedience and fostering critical thought. I want you guys to listen to this because this is nuts. Check this out and then we'll take it on the other side.
Oklahoma is taking its war on woke to a new level. It's now going to test incoming teachers from New York and California, teachers who are coming there from those states, with an America First exam. The state's superintendent says the 50-question test, which covers government, religion, and gender, will screen out, quote, woke indoctrinators with left-wing views. Conservative media nonprofit PragerU helped create the test. They also put together teaching material for the Oklahoma school system. Here is a taste of what they're about.
Slavery is as old as time and has taken place in every corner of the world, even amongst the people I just left. Being taken as a slave is better than being killed, no? I don't see the problem.
Most gender stereotypes exist because they reflect the way that men and women are naturally different.
One of the most beautiful things God has created is a woman's smile. It can fill a room with energy and joy. Just try smiling and see how it affects the people around you.
This is a lot.
It is a lot. Look, this is really an escalation too, because for years now, you and I have covered, we've talked about these stories, the way in which the right, from sort of a local level up to the very top of our politics, has tried to change our educational system. But for so long, the politicians, the players, the teachers that I spoke to in these spaces, they said, well, this is really about supplemental material. Originally, when Oklahoma brought PragerU into the school system, that's kind of how they described it. Well, we already have to teach all this liberal stuff, but now they'll get exposed to some conservative viewpoints. But this is a very interesting shift, because PragerU is now essentially going to be involved in the teacher certification and approval process.
Slavery is better than being killed.
And Christopher comes out saying, I don't see a problem. I mean, this is very ideological stuff. And to PragerU's credit, actually, when I've spoken to founder Dennis Prager, conservative, controversial radio host, he openly says this is a conservative, pro-America, patriotic place. He's not trying to pretend.
How come you can't do that in a way where you say, hey, listen, here's the history of slavery. And there are many different wrinkles to it. There's the history of white abolitionists fighting to end it. There's the fights that were happening on the floor of the House in the lead up to the Civil War as white lawmakers were fighting other white lawmakers. You can add that into it. You can add the stuff about African slave trade into it, but that is not contextualizing it. That's not adding in all the layers. That's saying it wasn't bad.
You're right. I mean, that is what teachers in states like Oklahoma and Texas and some of the other places where there's been a push to bring this kind of movement and change to education in, they pushed back saying just that actually we already do supplement with all kinds of perspectives. We use a lot of, there are a ton of primary source documents from that time period written from the perspective of slaves and from slave owners, business owners, observers, international trading partners. There is so much for teachers to work with here. They were not asking for a sort of fake Christopher Columbus or any of the other characters they use in these programs to retell an American story.
Their allegation is that what is happening because of the teaching of slavery and the way it's being taught now and the intense focus on identity and race. It's made white kids feel bad about themselves. And they argue it's made Black kids feel like they can't do anything else.
I've spent a lot of time talking to kids. It's really hard to find white students. I've spent time in Oklahoma covering this, all across our country, from the blue states of California and New York that are the targets of this move in Oklahoma to very red states. That's not what's actually happening in the classroom. You can talk to teachers too. Kids are very eager to have some of these hard conversations. They like the classes where they're encouraged to debate with each other, where they learn more about each other's culture. And often the parents want that too. So what I've seen in this movement is it's a lot of this political top-down speaking for children and sort of telling us what they think or what we believe they should think, instead of allowing them to actually tell us what school is like and allowing the people who spend 8+ hours a day with them to have a say in our educational processes. That's being lost. And what you're seeing here is a very ideological shift that's in Oklahoma now, but there's potential for it to go elsewhere.
All right. The people of Oklahoma and indeed the nation must recognize what is at stake. Education should empower students to think freely, question authority, and embrace diversity, not cage them within the narrow dogmas of reactionary politics. When a state replaces professional standards with ideological litmus tests, guess what happens? It betrays its children and sabotages its future. Teachers deserve the freedom to teach truth, not the burden of appeasing political gatekeepers, which is exactly what they're doing. Oklahoma's experiment is a warning. If unchecked, the machinery of indoctrination will spread, hollowing out democracy from the classroom and up. To defend public education is to defend freedom itself. The reality, folks, is all of this is in the playbook of the Powell memo. And we have to put this in our mind. None of this is accidental. None of this is not well designed. We have to wake up. The way fascism works, the way indoctrination works, they are running the playbook perfectly. Please, folks, share and let's wake up. Absolutely share and let's wake up. Look, right now they're trying to rewrite history. They're trying to make it seem as if, well, it was just slavery. Slavery was okay. Let me tell you something, because the evil isn't done by a whole lot of people, right? Most people you have the shepherds and then you have the sheep. And, most people behave like sheep. That's just how it is. There are others who behave like the leaders within the flock. And then, of course, you have the leader. In our case, our leader in chief is the president of the United States, whoever that is. And we have activists that are running around trying to get people to realize that we are in a collective, of course, right? And then you have those that just follow who they think are leaders and they follow them. So all the bad things that are, our museums are there to tell the true American history. That's what they're there for. And within any country, there is good and bad. Within any country, no country has a monopoly on goodness or a monopoly on evil. Neil Aquino says, "Hey, Neil, how you doing, my brother from Houston, Texas?" Neil Aquino is the founder of the Houston Democracy Project, HoustonDemocracyProject.com. Don't forget to visit his website, HoustonDemocracyProject.com. He says, they say slavery is okay because a goal of the right is a return of slavery. Well, my contention, Neil, and you hear that when you show up on my show every Thursday at 6 a.m., I always say that we are in what's known as antiseptic slavery. You don't have to do slavery the way we did it before. You don't need the whips and the chains, because what we do is we enslave the mind. And once the mind is enslaved, we have the power to control. We no longer need the whip, the chains, or anything else. We have the fear of you losing a job, so therefore you want to work and follow what the master says. We have the fear of you not being able to take care of yourself because, they're taking away most of your social programs that you've earned, that you deserve. So again, we have learned how to make slavery work without instituting the chains, the whips, because what we do is we enslave this. You watch some of the folks in not our Substack chat, but the other chat, and you see what an enslaved mind actually makes you say. You see what an enslaved mind allows you to think or not think for that matter, right? Because to not want to tell our history, if you go into anybody who goes into the African American Museum, and a few folks on TV said it today, there are so many things in there that should have been learned that was never learned because people were fearful that if people realize how things really were, that people would hate themselves for no reason, right? Because like I said, most of the evil, most of the ills are done by a few. Others are so fearful, they're just followers and they fulfill the game. And then they're the sycophants who buy into the thing. But look, our history is a history that if you want to be as honest about it, when we would not have made it in America survive as colonies if we didn't learn from those who knew this land and taught us about this land. And our answer to all that we learned from these folks on the land that they reside on for millennia was to create one of the largest genocides. So when we look at the genocide in Gaza, when we look at the 10,000 Panamanians that were killed as collateral damage to arrest Manuel Antonio Noriega, it looks like chump change. We don't really, it is just one of those things in humanity. And that's how our leaders, not the American people. I will always defend the American people because, again, not everybody are leaders. Most people are followers. Most people are the sheep. We need to create more activists. All of us need to be activists so that we are not sheep that do harm. But yes, our genesis was not a good genesis. We became powerful. We became the most powerful nation in the world. And we did it intentionally. And we did it intentionally by harming many, intentionally by using the free labor of many, intentionally by taking the land of others, intentionally. Let's be clear here. Now, we have attempted to atone over the last several decades, and we have begun to do that. But when you have a president that comes in and want all of us beautiful Americans to forget what our history was about, what we did to the natives, what we did to the blacks, what we did to the Chinese, what we did to the Japanese, all these things that they want us to forget. They want us to forget this. And when you forget these things, you're liable to repeat it again because you believe the glory, glory, hallelujah that you tell yourself, right? Look, no country, no person of whatever culture, hue, or whatever has a monopoly on goodness or evil. But what we can do to mitigate what we've done is to understand and know what we've done unabashedly, not hiding, saying as it is. Our founders had slaves. Yes. Our founders effected laws that created genocide. Yes. Our founders, our leaders locked up folk. Yes. All of those things are true. But we also sent a lot of food to many countries around the world. Okay. And Lee Grant, it's not about no amount of atonement will be good for progressives. No, that's not true. What we do need, however, is reparations for all people. Absolutely all people that need reparation. My brother Patrick, come on in, sir.
Hopefully I didn't interrupt.
No.
A quick overview on Christopher Columbus. He landed on the island of Hispaniola, which is part
Haiti
of Cuba
and
now.
Haiti and Dominican Republic.
The priest that accompanied him, De las Casas, Bartholomew de las Casas, estimated approximately 2 million people on that island. When they left, there was 2,000. A lot of them weren't put into slavery. A lot of them were burnt in lots of 13 that honored Jesus, and the 12 disciples burned alive. And I bet that most of the people that ended up sandwiched for months at a time on a slave boat actually did wish that they were dead. But that's not why I called. I wanted to, I put it in the chat yesterday, but I want to really emphasize to E2247 and anybody else that's interested in the Palestinians. There's a fantastic documentary that had multiple awards. No Other Land. You can't find it here, but there's actually a version that they edited and changed a little bit to get around the algorithm in YouTube. So if you search YouTube and look for No Other Land, you'll find a 20-year account of life in the West Bank. You'll watch Israelis attacking people for no reason, bulldozing houses, fist fights.
How long is the video?
About an hour and a half.
And did you ever send me that link?
I did. No other land. I'll send it to you to your phone today.
Yeah, thank you.
But anybody that's interested, and anybody that doesn't really understand what's going on, another beautiful thing about it is it's from the West Bank, and Hamas wasn't really that involved with that West Bank. And so when they're using this excuse of Hamas, you can just watch them leveling the West Bank and killing people.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get the news.
After watching that, there's no excuse. Yeah, you can watch it anywhere else in the world except for
the United States. You can watch it everywhere else. Uh-oh, I lost you. Patrick, I lost you. Give us a call back, Patrick. For some reason, I don't have you. Patrick, give me a call back. I'm going to hang up and see if that was a problem with the line. Give us a call back. But the other book to read, folks, is called The People's History of the United States of America. Let me see if I can get that book. And again, like I said, people always talk about, oh, you're down in America. This is not about down in America. This is about making America. You know, they talk about make America great again. What we want to do is make America great. All right? Make America great. That is what it's all about. Not make America great again. It's about make America great. And we all collectively can do that. And it is something that we should do. Let's see. I'm looking it up right now. Let's see. The People's History, a wonderful People's History. Yep. This is it. Hey, Patrick, call back. We lost you. Let me get you guys the link. Okay. This is a great book to read. It takes a long time to read. I have it in my, my Amazon. Let me go ahead and get the link. Copy the link. There we go. Copy. I'm putting the link in both chats. That's a great book if you really want to learn a whole lot of stuff. By now, I forgot half of the book, to tell you the truth, but it's a good book to read. It was written by Howard Zinn, and it's a good book to read. Anyhow, we have about 4 minutes left. I can take 2 minutes of calls. Anybody want to call in? Give me a call. 281-823-7747. Let me put that in the chat. 281-823-7747. Let me put that out here. They have all formats, and there it is. 281. I think I put the link in there. Let me see if there's an audio format. It looks like there's an audio format. Yeah, there's a Kindle, there's an audio book, there's a whole thing there. You can get the whole thing. So, yes, folks. All right, we've got 1 minute. I can take one more call. Give me a call, 281-823-7747. Una vez más lo voy a repetir. 281-823-7747, 281-823-747. Lo puedo repetir. The book of Job in Bible is a great story too. Have you guys ever noticed that Zinn doesn't hate America at all? That's not true at all. The name of the book is A People's History of the United States. I don't know. Anytime somebody tells the truth, they're said to hate America, right? What I'd like you to do, my brother Lee Grant, is open that book and tell me what in that book you find that is incorrect. Okay? Please open that book and just tell me. I like to do things by evidence. Okay? People would say, Egberto, you're a communist. No, I'm not. I am a free enterpriser. I believe in collective. Where needs to be collective should be collective, and where doesn't need to be collective shouldn't be. I am not. But you see, it is lazy and makes it easy for people to say that. I then ask people, what policy does Egberto support that most Americans don't? And I can never get an answer to that. So we have to stop parroting the message from our enslaver, okay? We have to, again, go ahead and tell me specifically what items in that book is incorrect, because you won't be able to find any. If there's one thing Howard Zinn is accurate and documented. And that's what I love about the book. everything. In fact, the bibliography is huge because it's documented. Elwin Hudson says Germany has been telling the truth about their history. I have read several articles in Der Spiegel. That's one of their major newspapers. And let me tell you, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Germany realizes that in order to not make the same mistake, and even with telling that story, they have a right-wing faction. Hirut Kidenian says it's called a Stockholm syndrome. What these people have. Yeah, I think you're right. But you know what? When they feel the pain, Mandami supports free enterprise as well. Democratic socialism is free enterprise. Democratic socialism is free enterprise. You guys have to start studying. Read. Please read. Madre mia, lee un poquito. Beth Andrews says our country is not and has never been perfect. Saying that does not mean that we don't love our country. We love it so much we want to make it better. That's why I came here. I came here under the facade of what it was and decided that I was going to be a part of those making it what it says it is. And all of us do that collectively. All right. In fact, wanting to learn from our mistakes is one of the best ways to love this country. Beth Andrews, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I got to get out of here. But before I get out of here, I want to ask all of you who have the wherewithal to. Folks, we honestly need hundreds more subscribers to make this viable. And remember, we're not only doing this on TV, we're not only doing this on videos, we're on many platforms out there pushing the message. And now more than ever, it's needed. So I ask you so kindly, those of you who have the wherewithal, to please become paid subscribers if you can. It's like getting yours truly a coffee. Please become paid subscribers if you can. This is a labor. This is something that we need, and we need to support a whole lot of folks doing this kind of work. We really do. To support us, please go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I'm putting it in both chats. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. We cannot do this without you. We cannot do this without you. This is collectively, we can make a difference. Collectively, we can use geometric progression to beat the mainstream media's coddling of the administration. We can do it with our email list, with our chats, with our online stuff, with our activism out in the field. We can do it, but we need your support. So please support however you can. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. If you're on the Substack app, just go ahead and subscribe from the Substack app. You can make a difference. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto. Love you all. You can write me directly, info@politicsdoneright.com. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what?
All of our country's problems, from polarization to ignorance on domestic and international issues to a complete misunderstanding of our economic and healthcare systems, are a direct result of a derelict mainstream media that too often bend over backwards to support corporate or bought politicians' wants as opposed to the people's needs for real information to make their lives better. Independent media is the only solution to inform truthfully and factually. Why? Because our loyalties are to you, the ones who fund us with small dollar contributions and subscriptions. Please consider supporting our independent media platforms by subscribing to our Egberto Off the Record newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's an investment that pays incalculable dividends.